Welcome back, everybody, to Pro League here. It's a new week. Some new matches at the Nexon Arena. I am Wolf. With me is Moonglade, and we're starting things off with MVP versus SKT.
Should be a pretty interesting match, Wolf, not a map. Starting off with DeParture versus soO. Bit of a, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. There's potential there for a lot of, I guess, upsets is what I'm looking for. Like, they're really going to have to look for the upsets because SKT is looking way too strong this season.
Yeah, a team of elites, man. Every time I see this team together, whether it's in the makeup room or on stage, I just feel like these badasses are just gonna destroy whatever team they're against, man. They're just like ready to destroy. Like, look at this, DeParture versus soO. When you see those names together, you think, well, I hope DeParture has really prepared something because he is up against a multi-time GSL finalist, somebody who's very consistent.
Yeah, I mean, as we look at the lineup right here, Panic versus Billowy as well, loSero versus Innovation, probably the highlight of this match. And then Yonghwa versus Classic to close things out. There's a lot of potential for upsets there with Panic, loSero, and Yonghwa, I think. And you know what? DeParture could get that 9-pull Baneling off if soO is going to be that greedy, which he could very well be. It is soO after all, and he does love to go for those hatch firsts. Yeah, but he should be pretty careful in this sort of matchup.
I think so, too. We do see like a few swap outs here for SKT. They're using Classic again. We haven't seen him all too often this season compared to what we saw from him last season. And they've also decided to use Billowy today. We've seen SKT use Sorry a few times in the recent past. Now they're swapping Billowy in, so maybe to get him some more experience. He hasn't really played that much since his MVP days last season.
Yeah, I definitely think it's more of an EXP sort of match for SKT when it comes to Billowy. They're kind of just throwing someone out there, you know, they can't afford to take that loss if they're backing it up with Innovation and Classic behind them. Not a bad idea, but a bit of a risk, I think.
Now, taking a look at our rankings going into round 2 so far, CJ Entis is at a 5-0 score, the plus 11. Their last match, they took it in an ace match. Their score could be even higher had that not have happened. SKT up here in number 4. A win today would push them more towards security-wise for making it to the playoffs. MVP needs a win. If they don't win this one, very low chance of their negative indicator that they're actually going to make it.
Yeah, I think they just might be guaranteed out if they just lose this one pretty badly.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely SKT, very important for them. And CJ has a great chance today as well to, you know, make that lead even further.
Indeed, even further. Speaking of CJ, we have both Hero and Biel at the top of the rankings, and both players will be playing today. At least they're both in the roster. Looking at SKT players, Innovation has the ability to jump up to first place should he play his match and then play in an ace match that he could actually tie for first. I don't know if we're going to go to an ace match today, but something to keep in mind. Dark is not in the roster today. He's in 7th place down there at the bottom at 7-5.
Yeah, so should be pretty interesting to see how everyone ends up. Obviously, loSero versus Innovation going to be the highlight of that sort of first match to see who's going to make it to the tie for rank 2, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And loSero's got a mountain to climb against Innovation today. Definitely be a tough matchup for him. But going into this first one, I hope DeParture has something very, very special planned. We have seen upsets in the ZVZ matchup before. We have seen, you know, Terror win in ZVZ before.
His only win, right? Yeah, I mean, it does happen, Wolf. It's definitely the most volatile of the matchups, and things can go wrong for a Zerg, especially a greedy one, just like soO. I think this is like the first thought that came into his mind when he saw his opponent. Oh, it's DeParture? I guess I'm going 15-pull this game because he could very well just 9-pull me. It's probably one of his only chances to actually beat me in this game.
Yeah. I'm almost 100% sure we're going to see a pull first from soO. The map is Expedition Lost going into game number 1. soO, currently a flawless ZVZ record this season. 2-0, but it's only 2 matches. Nothing too crazy. Like, that's not a super impressive stat just yet. We're still early on here in round 2.
Yep. In recent times, soO has been doing very well in Star League and in GSL, winning both his best of 5s against Protoss, so clearly in some decent form. Let's see if he's had enough time to kind of practice this ZVZ. I think for the last essentially 2 weeks, he's been doing nothing but ZVPing. Yeah. Could have some effect.
Yeah, definitely going to have to switch gears a little bit for this one. And no doubt DeParture has been doing his research because he isn't really in any other leagues, so he's not really worried about too much else.
Yeah, well, he lost his down in Pro League. What can I say?
Yeah, well said. Done. Done. GG, that's it. Better be focused for this one. All right, guys, SKT, the heavy favorites here, especially in this matchup. Let's see if DeParture can pull off an upset here in game number 1. There is our starting Zerg for MVP at the top right, DeParture.
Down into the bottom left, it is SKT's soO.
Not looking too angry today. In fact, was all smiles in the makeup room earlier. Seems to be in a good mood.
Yeah, he's always smiling when we get to say hello to him. He's very happy, actually. Despite what he looks like in the booth, he's one of the friendlier guys out here, I think.
He really is. He's very talkative. He's very down to have a little bit of chit-chat. Came to see Taso's, but, yeah, of course, soon again to see Wolf and Moonlane. Heart Australia.
That's better. That's what we like to see. It's cheeky, guys.
Thank you for saying nice things about us.
Yeah, much love right there. As we see the start of this game, nothing out of the ordinary. Both players actually tending to be greedy. No early pulls for now.
Yeah, not just yet. As we are approaching sort of that timing where we'll see if soO wants to play it safe. I think a good move here actually for DeParture would be to go hatch first, because soO may be expecting something aggressive out of him, something cheesy out of him, and to try to take that edge, knowing your opponent is probably thinking he can beat you in a macro game anyways, and try to get that early lead with the hatch first.
Yeah, that would definitely be one of DeParture's smarter moves. It looks like he's going to go for the pull first. And soO, wow, going for that hatch first. So soO's still going to be the greedy one in this game, which I kind of find to be pretty surprising.
Yeah, same. I was really expecting otherwise. To this sign here saying that Team MVP activated SK Telecom T1's trap card, which is 2 Protosses. So he's saying he thinks SKT wins 3-1 or 3-0 for sure. So I guess he's feeling that Protoss is a little bit strong, this sign holder.
yeah, I can't blame him. They've been doing very well in recent times, especially potting very well for himself.
I think the morale of all Protoss players is pretty high with that Disruptor unit, man. In the Legacy of the Void.
Oh my god.
We're also looking forward to that one.
No one's looking forward to that one, Wolf. Horrible unit, in my opinion.
Definitely needs some tweaking, I'd say.
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Well, I mean, obviously a pretty nice lead here for soO right now, economy-wise with that early hatch. A very quick gas, though, for DeParture.
Yeah. So DeParture's going to be playing the gas game, essentially. He's going to be getting the Zergling speed pretty early on. See where he goes from there. He's obviously going to have to identify what build soO is going for. And granted, soO is going for a gasless completely build. So there's a lot of advantages DeParture can take this early on. Get link speed, take map control, go for an early third base, and keep the map control and contain going. While then he goes into the tech, maybe roaches nice and early, and has that sort of roach lead early game, which it's really all about DeParture finding that out though. He's got to really figure it out what it's going to be nice and early so he can take advantage of it, or he can be pretty aggressive. But as I say all this, we do see a pretty late gas from soO.
Yeah, he actually got this after the Overlord of DeParture kind of left his base. So as the Observer just showed us for a second, DeParture has no information about this gas, so he may just be going on to assume, which is a pretty reasonable assumption based on what he scouted, that it's just going to be a gas opening completely here. So kind of a sneaky move by soO. To add that a little bit late. He's also going to come in here to get a very good scout. He's going to see one drone still in the gas to be able to click on that and see how much is mined.
Yeah, not a bad sort of mind game either. I mean, if you think you're up against a gasless like this, and you do play greedy, you do go for that fast third base, you maybe skimp on the Baneling Nest and try and go for your own sort of roach advantage early on, it can just come back to bite you. If Mass Lings just comes out of nowhere, you will just lose the game.
This Ling somehow still survives. Okay, finally goes down there, but it's surf around that base for a while. And there is that slightly delayed Zergling speed that DeParture is going to have no idea about. Coming along, and a Spine Crawler for safety at the front. And we're going to see a quick lair out of DeParture here off 2 base. Without a Roach Warren or Evo Chambers, are you feeling like this might be Mutus?
Could very possibly be. It's going to depend on how many more gases we see from DeParture this early on. I mean, if he really wanted to go Mutus, he should have added 3 extractors by now. I think he might add 2 more gases. 3 more gases now. Granted, they are pretty late. He could have added them a bit earlier. No Baneling Nest either. So I guess it is going to be Mutus, just going to have the gases just a little bit later.
Yeah. We do see soO is hardcore pushing this Overlord out, but he's also able to scout that DeParture is working on these rocks, which is going to give him a good idea that he may be doing some sort of Mutalist strategy where he wants to slow down any roach attacks, which soO is actually, in my opinion, in ZVZ, possibly the best player at doing roach timing attacks. He's really, really good at executing those at perfect timings to punish people.
Right. Yeah, well, it looks like soO's going to go for that sneaky Zergling play that we kind of perhaps thought it might be when we did see him go for that earlier gas. Not a bad choice at all, I think. It's going to do some damage, but there is a Baneling that's just about finished for DeParture as well. And he's adding a second Spinecrawler in the natural, so he's kind of worried about something here. It's like, well, you don't have your third just yet, I don't think. You're kind of playing pretty defensive. The upgrades from your Evolution Chamber was late. And now that he's seen the Speedlings, he's going to be Morphin Banelings. Getting that second Spine just in time.
He needs those Banelings to finish. They're almost done here. soO's just going to go for the Spinecrawler, but those Banelings are about to finish, so he needs to pull back away from those as soon as they do finish, because they're going to do work.
Ooh.
Great pullback there. That was so close.
Yeah, very, very close. And now, essentially, DeParture, he's completely stabilized. He's in a great space. His Mutas are going to be out long before this third base has enough sort of creep for any sort of Spore Crawler. So I think what soO has to do is essentially just keep applying pressure. He's bringing up those roaches now. Just going to kind of help out and pressing the front, maybe keep those Mutas back while he does get spores up in time.
Yeah, and these roaches, of course, definitely want to help deal with those Banelings so his earliest have some more freedom to actually do something for him here, because with those 4 Banes, he's having a tough time. And I mean, if you look at the worker count, right now DeParture is 10 Harvesters up because of all the lings that soO committed to. He spent so much larva on that, so much resources on that.
Yeah, it is a big, big problem. Look at this. He's going to come from behind. There's no +1 for these roaches either, so Lings alone can deal with them. So long as he gets rid of the other Lings, maybe with Banelings or some decent Bane hits. And not only that, but Mutas are on the way now. So this attack, not going to do too much from soO, but it is going to buy him that very important amount of time so he can get the Spore Crawlers up and be ready for Mutas.
That's so many Banelings here. Engaging this directly is going to be a mistake. He has to pick some of those Banelings off first. Trying to sneak by here. Banelings do get pulled back. He's going for the Spine. Mutilas are popping out as well. And Banelings here buying more time again, but this army is right upon his base. Looks like he's going to crash into some of these roaches with the Banelings. A little bit of indecision here.
Oh, wow. This is a huge waste with these Banelings. He's not really getting anything done at all.
And this is a ton of roaches now actually starting to work on these drones. 10 down already. Those Banelings, he just really was super indecisive with them and totally wasted them, as you were saying. And this is all the damage that soO needs to get back into this game, I feel. He's got plenty of time to get spores up now as well.
Well, this damage is kind of game-winning damage. 22 drones from this attack that should never have done any damage. Insane. And now from here, soO's got his third base up and running. There's already 8 drones on it. All he has to do from this point is make Spore Crawlers, make sure Mutas do no drone damage whatsoever, make sure Lings don't get into any sort of mineral lines, and he's won the game.
Yeah, he's even getting a Nidus network right now for a follow-up push, I suppose. All he has to do is, hold for a second. He does have quite a few Overlords on the map because of that rally, so he's going to want to be careful about pulling those back because a lot of Mulas will kill them, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get DeParture back into this game. Because he's got Mutalis, but the answer for Mutalis is already out on the map.
Yeah, exactly. How many queens is that? It's 8 queens, so yeah, that's more than enough for 10 Mutas. And
he could just Nidus them right over.
Exactly. It shouldn't be too difficult to pull this one out. But you know what? If this does fail, soO is also in a pretty bad state when it comes to drones. He's only on 36 right now to the 31 of DeParture's.
Yeah. All right, there's that Nidus coming up. A lot of roaches coming out of here. He's going to let those queens out too. A lot of them built up a decent amount of energy. And don't forget about these Overlords that are going down here still. It's going to cost him a lot of resources to actually rebuild those to continue making reinforcements, to continue the push. This is just so many queens, though. Spinecrawler is being placed right now, repositioned in the main. He's making a ton more Banes. That's all he's really going to have here to defend against 13 roaches and 8 queens.
Not a bad idea adding all these Banes. If he gets some really money shots, he can kind of whittle it down, especially the queens. Let's have a look.
He's going to go and hit these Banelings right into the front. Transfuse is helping keep those alive. There's so much firepower here on these queens, zoning out those Mutalis. They can't really fight here. And the Transfuses just keep coming.
Yeah, that is simply just too many Transfuses, too many queens left. One Spinecrawler remains to kind of buffer for these Mutas. And that is it. I don't think there's any way you can break this. GG.
GG. Solid play there by soO. Some scary moments. I feel like I don't know exactly how to describe what happened there with the Banelings. He just made mistakes with them. Like he didn't use them at all. Like it looked like he was thinking about hitting them into the roaches, and he just left them in front of the roaches. The roaches were like, well, I guess I'll just kill these.
Yeah.
And the splash didn't even hit most of the roaches.
No, it was really sort of bad decision making with these Banelings, and it really cost him, the game. He lost 22 drones from that. And yeah, that was a pretty scrappy game. Now that it's all said and done, soO, he won the game, but it was by a thread, I think.
Yeah, I feel like he's probably going to be wiping the sweat off his brow this time and saying a close call there. Like
yeah,
that was scary there.
Exactly. That was just a little too close.
Yeah.
Well, all right. jumping straight into the next game is going to be on Deadwing. I think that's going to be that PvP. Panic versus Billowy. When I looked at this one, I thought it was a pretty interesting match. Two players we don't see very often at all. Panic doing very well in the GSL Code A recently, defeating Trap 3-2. That is a pretty massive win.
That's a huge win in this matchup. And he's been doing very well, much more consistently than, his opponent here, Billowy, in individual leagues. And in the best of one, though, Billowy has shown us some great PvP. He's beaten great opponents like, I'm talking last year, but he has beaten big opponents like Zest before, several times in best of ones.
Right.
He all-killed for MVP in, I think it was round 3 of the round 3 finals last year. So this guy's got great PvP when it comes to best of ones. He also has a great amount of Protosses to practice with here on SKT. This was my hardest prediction I had to make, out of all the predictions today, I feel, and I went with Billowy here, but I feel like this matchup could definitely go either way.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the one result we got for Billowy as well was he lost to Pig Baby in the round 1 of SSL qualifiers. Yeah. So I was like, well, I don't know if we're gonna go it's so hard as it is, but I'm gonna base it on recent results, and I feel like Panic has it hands down. But anything can happen to best of one, that's for sure.
Yeah, anything can. Protoss versus Protoss is